Good morning, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. Council is conducting this meeting in person and via conference call in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, Section 199. Council chambers is open for public attendance in person. However, councillors and members of the public may still join meetings remotely using our current teleconference process. If you have submitted a comment request, the chair will call on you at the appropriate time. The chair may also ask for comments and concerns from the public relating to a particular topic. And at this time, phone lines will be unmuted. If you would like to speak, please state your name. Individuals will be allotted 5 minutes to speak or 10 minutes for a group as per our procedure bylaw. If the meeting is recessed, callers will be put on hold until the meeting reconvenes, with the exception at noon where callers will be asked to call back in. This helps with call quality. Please note this meeting is being recorded and may be uploaded to our website and/or social media. To eliminate background noise, please mute your phone during the meeting. We also ask all attendees to mute their devices to reduce disruptions to the meeting. Everyone has a right to be present at council meetings and council committee meetings. Any attendees that are considered disruptive to the progression of this meeting may be removed at the discretion of the chair as per the Municipal Government Act, Section 198. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding. And due to members participating electronically today, we will modify our voting procedure. As per Section 114.4 of the procedure bylaw, a roll call vote will be used. We have an agenda before us. Does anybody have any additions or changes?
Good morning, Reeve Link, Brian from Administration. Administration has 2 potential additions and 1 deletion from the agenda this morning. The first agenda item is 3.2.1, an addition to approve attendance at the Alberta Spring Care Seminar 2024. The second addition is a follow-up to Council Motion 2023 -12-70, and that is the utilization of Section 347 on various roll numbers. It was a previous motion passed by Council. And for that in-camera item, we're suggesting Section 24 of FOIP. And the deletion that administration has is another in-camera item, which was under FOIP Section 16, the Digital Transformation Project RFP review and results. Thank you.
And you said the last one is a deletion.
That's correct, yes.
Any other additions or changes to the agenda? If not, a motion to approve.
Reeve Link, I believe there may be one councillor calling in remotely today.
Oh, yes, let's do a roll call. Division 1 councillor.
Present.
Division 2 councillor is present. Division 3.
Present.
4.
Present.
5.
I'm here.
6.
Here.
7.
Here.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you for the reminder to both Councillor Eichert and CAO Henderson. Now, if we could have a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Also.
Thanks, Councillor Eichert. Any questions or discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. We'll just do the same thing we'll do. Division 1?
Agree.
2 is in favor. 3? In favor. 4?
In favor.
5?
In favor.
6? In favor. 7?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We had the minutes from our December 19th council meeting. Did anybody see any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to approve is presented.
Also move.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Division 1?
In favor.
2?
In favor.
3? Oh, sorry. 2 is in favor. 3?
In favor.
4?
In favor.
5?
In favor.
6?
In favor.
7?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We had the public hearing minutes from the public hearing for bylaw 2023-17. Any errors or omissions?
Accept as presented. Motion 2.
Deputy Reeve Clausen has moved to approve as presented. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. District or Division 1,
In favor.
Division 2 is in favor, Division 3,
In favor.
4,
In favor.
5,
In favor.
6, 7.
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to 1.33, the public hearing minutes for bylaw 2023-20. Any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to approve. Councillor Bigger.
Also move.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Division 1,
In favor.
Division 2 is in favor, Division 3,
In favor.
4,
In favor.
5,
In favor.
6,
In favor.
7.
In favor.
Thanks, everybody. Motion is carried. We'll move to 1.34. Any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to approve is presented.
I'll move as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Kester. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Division 1,
In favor.
Division 2 is in favor, 3,
In favor.
4,
In favor.
5,
In favor.
6,
In favor.
7.
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 2.1, bylaw or land use bylaw. Sorry. I'd like to call the public hearing for bylaw 2023-27 to order. Good morning, everybody. As per section 193 of the procedure bylaw, the public hearing will be conducted in the following order. Staff will report by administration, presentation by the applicant, presentations by the public in support of the proposal, presentations by the public in opposition. Then we will have an opportunity for a rebuttal, final questions, and then council will close the public hearing. Can administration please verify that notice of the public hearing was circulated in accordance with the MGA?
Yes.
Just through the chair, could we have a motion to open the public hearing?
Oh, I think I did move, but we didn't vote. Oh, I just called it to order. Sorry. I will move that we open the public hearing for bylaw 2023-27. Any questions or discussion? Thank you, CAO Henderson, and thank you, Councillor Kester. We'll call the question.
In favor.
In favor?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Division 7?
In favor.
Thank you, everybody. Motion is carried. And were there any written submissions that are not in the public package?
No.
Please go ahead.
Jessica Russell with Planning and Development Services, presenting bylaw 2023-27 to implement textual changes to Wheatland County's land use bylaw. The application proposes to amend parts 4.2 and 9.11 to allow for agricultural operations to occur in the Hamlet Residential General District. The application proposes to add agricultural operations as a permitted use in the Hamlet Residential General HRG District. This amendment would allow undeveloped lands within the Hamlet Residential District to be farmed. To ensure agricultural operations are compatible with residential uses, the amendment proposes to add additional regulations to the HRG district. The additional regulations ensure that agricultural operations within the HRD district are on county-owned lands, are subject to a lease agreement with the county, and contain no farm animals or livestock. Lastly, the amendment proposes to add agricultural operations within the HRG district to be added to Part 4.2 regarding uses that do not require a development permit. This would ensure consistency with agricultural operations in the Agriculture General and Rural Business Districts, which do not require a development permit. The proposal is consistent with the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan, the Regional Growth Management Strategy, the Municipal Development Plan, and the Land Use Bylaw. Administration recommends approval of bylaw 2023-27 as per the motions provided. This concludes the presentation of bylaw 2023-27. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Would anybody from the public like to speak in support of the proposal? Is there anybody online who would like to speak in support of the proposal? Is there any member of the public who would like to speak in opposition or with concerns to the proposal? And just confirming, is there anybody online who would like to speak in opposition? Does administration have any final comments?
No.
Thank you. I will move that we close the public hearing. I'll call the question. Division 1?
In favor?
Division 2 is in favor. 3?
In favor?
4?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Division 7?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We'll move to consideration of readings.
I move that council moves first reading of bylaw 2023-27, this being a bylaw for the purpose of amending land use bylaw number 2016-01 to amend regulations for development permits not required and in the Hamlet Residential General District.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Any questions or discussion?
I do have a question actually for administration. So in the proposed revisions, talks about the lease agreement to the satisfaction of the county's agricultural fieldmen. And in the comments from the agricultural services, it suggests that it be in accordance with Wheatland County policy. Was there a discussion about that? Did we come to a?
Hi, George Bloom from administration here. That was under request from legal review with our lease agreement to ensure the county is protected as well as the leasee. So the potential leasee will just submit a plan to myself and what they're going to be planting and their inputs, and we'll approve it as long as it's within best practices. And yeah, we want to just get every acre of county land farmed that we can. So.
Okay. So it'll be under your approval, basically. We don't have policies.
There isn't
follow.
a policy spelling this out at this point. No, just as long as it's in line with best practices.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Thank you very much. One other question I just thought I would raise while we're talking about it. A letter from the resident suggests that it would be better if we sold the property. Is there discussion about that?
Through the Reeve to Council, yes, we are looking into county-owned lands and which ones that are available to be sold. And in this particular area, we would need to close road allowances because this area was subdivided. But yes, we are looking into disposing of lands that are county-owned.
Very good.
And always open to proposals from developers who would like to purchase county-owned land and optimize the use of it, for sure.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Division 1?
In favor?
2 is in favor. 3?
In favor.
4?
In favor.
5?
In favor.
6?
In favor.
7?
In favor.
Motion is carried.
I'll move second reading of bylaw 2023-27.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Clausen. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Division 1?
In favor?
2 is in favor. 3?
In favor.
4?
In favor.
5?
In favor.
6?
In favor.
7?
In favor.
Motion is carried.
I'll ask the council grant permission to hold third and final reading of bylaw 2023-27.
Any questions or discussion?
In favor?
Division 2 is in favor. 3,
In favor.
4,
In favor.
5,
In favor.
6.
In favor.
I'll just get you to turn your microphone on. I know it's just a,
In favor.
thank you, Councillor Kester. Division 7.
In favor.
Motion is carried unanimously. In consideration of third reading.
I'll move that council approve third reading of bylaw 2023-27.
Any questions or discussion? Division 1.
In favor?
2 is in favor. 3,
In favor.
4,
In favor.
5,
In favor.
6,
In favor.
7.
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 3.1. My reports for December and January are on page 67 and 68. I did meet with Dr. Joni McNeely on November 28th, and I believe she will be presenting at the Public Presentation Committee in February and can update more on that then. We had a really good Strathmore Seed Cleaning Plant AGM. Excellent year-end results for the seed cleaning plant. I think we raised it already, but the CPK Sea Holiday Train was a really good event again this year. High attendance. It's hard to estimate how many people were there, but certainly it looked like hundreds, if not more than that. And thank you to all of our team who contributed to making that happen. And there were a number of community groups and organizations that also made huge contributions that evening. I also want to highlight from my January report, Community Futures Wild Rose is celebrating 35 years of serving the Wild Rose region this year. So we will be doing just a lot of storytelling about the successes that have come from businesses that have used Community Futures over that 35 years. Since 1989, Community Futures Wild Rose has invested over $36 million in loans, supporting over 1,000 businesses in the region. And in Wheatland County specifically, that number is over $6 million in loan investments, and 149 businesses have been supported through those loans, which is pretty phenomenal impact. With that, I will move that my reports be presented as, or accepted as presented, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Division 1.
In favor?
Division 2 is in favor. 3,
In favor.
4,
In favor.
In favor.
6,
In favor.
7.
In favor.
Motion is carried. I also have a request under 3.11 for consideration of attendance at the Emerging Trends Law Seminar. Brownlee is hosting this on Thursday, and I would be asking for council to consider registration costs, the per diem, and just mileage for that course. For myself, I'm not sure if anybody else received the invitation and is interested in attending, but we could do it for whoever it applies to. Council's wishes.
I have no problem supporting you going if you want to listen to law, legal for a day. That's always good for planning for here. They highlight a lot of stuff that you should be aware of. They've learned from other municipalities. So,
Is anybody else interested or available?
I used to go to these, but since they started charging for it, I've have a hard time going. If I didn't know they used to be free, it would be a different story. But
Yeah, there is a fee. It's in-person admission is $190 plus GST. The topics for the sessions this year include teamwork, how governance can work, fleshing out the details, clearing up concerns related to municipal utility bylaws, tax incentives for municipalities, is the just cause test finally catching up to our new higher standards of workplace conduct and harassment-free workplaces, municipal risk management, public spaces, employment and construction. And then they always have a session where they review recent cases and legislative changes. And then they do have a barefoot session on open Q&A where people can bring questions. I have colleagues who say it's a great place to get free legal advice for your county. I know we have had administration attend in the past and have found it useful. And I have spoken with colleagues who have found it incredibly beneficial. It is geared towards counselors, so it's very much governance focused. Yeah. Council's wishes.
I'll move that council approve attendance per diem and mileage for Reeve Link to attend emerging trends in municipal law.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Division 1.
In favor.
2 is in favor. 3.
In favor?
4.
In favor.
5.
In favor.
6.
In favor.
7.
In favor.
Thanks, everybody. I'm just going to call a 5-minute recess. We just have some guests in attendance, and I just want to confirm if like a amendment to our scheduling might be helpful so that they're not. So we're respectful of time. So just a 5-minute recess, and we will reconvene at 9:27. Thanks, everybody.
You have been Mute off.
Good morning. We'll call the meeting back to order. I'd like to request council consideration for moving our closed session item under agenda item 6. That was the addition under FOIP Act Section 24, advice from officials. If council would consider a motion to move that on the agenda to consider next. We have a couple of ratepayers who have joined us, and I'm mindful of their time. And then in terms of process, we could go into closed session and receive the advice from officials. Administration has some information for us, and then we could come out of closed session and continue that discussion. If council is okay with that, are there any questions about the process? Yeah.
I make the motion to change those items as stated.
Is there any questions or discussion? And Councillor Larson, just confirming you're back with us. Councillor Larson, are you there? I'm not sure if you're muted, Councillor Larson. We're not hearing you. Maybe just give it just a minute. And Councillor Larson, have you joined us? Does it look like the call is still connected? Councillor Larson.
I'm here. I just couldn't get off of mute.
Oh, that has happened to me before. I'm glad you're there. Were you here when we outlined the motion?
Yes.
Perfect. Are there any questions? I'll call the question. Division 1?
In favor.
2 is in favor. 3?
In favor?
4?
In favor.
In favor.
6?
In favor.
7?
In favor.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I will move us into closed session. Division 1?
In favor.
2 is in favor. 3?
In favor?
4?
In favor.
5?
In favor.
6?
In favor.
7?
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Order.
off.
We have a 10 o'clock appointment. I apologize, we're late, but Staff Sergeant Will Gosh is here to present. Go ahead, sir.
Deputy Reeve Costa, could we get a motion to come out of closed session? Sorry.
I'll make a motion to come out of closed session. Call the question. Councilor Priest?
In favor.
Councilor Bigger?
In favor?
Councilor Riker?
In favor.
In favor. Councilor Kester?
In favor.
Councilor Larson?
In favor.
That's carried. Oh, sorry, my mic wasn't on.
Good morning, everyone. For this report, again, all my comments have been made through the CAO to the chair for the duration of the presentation for some efficiency. Appreciative of the opportunity to appear before you again to give you an update on our policing priorities and our crime prevention efforts within the rural areas of Wheatland County. For quite some time now, we kind of missed Q4 last year. We're up at Q3 already. So I think I'll focus for efficiency on Q3 of where we're at this year and a bit of an overview of what our measures and targets are. And if there are any questions on any of the reports that form part of the council package, I'll be in a position to answer any questions that may arise. For our policing priorities for this fiscal year, which commenced in April 1st of last year, we remain focused on our targeted areas of property crimes, road safety, and community engagement. Where we sought our measures in those specific areas is we took our data from the historical 5 years or the years preceding this last fiscal year, or our current fiscal year, excuse me. And we determined what the average was just to come up with a range of where our typical crime rates are. Now, we're not saying that any level of crime is acceptable, but we're trying to aim or targeting what is our averages over the past 5 years and to try and minimize them as much as possible from those levels. So you'll see within these reports, there are some comparisons from this period to the same period in the last fiscal year. So a comparison of how we're doing compared to last year, but also where we're measuring up to our targeted goals with the average of the past 5 years of crime data. And I'll get more to that as we get through the quick report. So what I have on the screen here before you, and hopefully you all have a copy of the report with you as well, is our Q3 report, which covers October 1st through December 31st of 2023, which was just concluded a couple months ago. The targeted areas with our crime or within property crimes still remained reductions in break-in enters, theft from motor vehicles, and theft of motor vehicles, which again was commonly heard as the most problematic areas and mostly of concern of our rural residents in this particular area, but across through the town of Strathmore and in our Rocky View County areas as well. We again sought a reduction from our historical averages over the past 5 years, targeting of up to about 5%, to see if we could make measurable gains in that regard to decrease the number of crimes and maximize safety in our areas. We have a number of programs that remain in place to achieve those goals. First and most effective is our habitual offender management program. Now the program again identifies those who are most impactful to our communities with respect to the volumes of crimes they commit, the seriousness, the likelihood of continuing crimes, and of course the impact on the community. We work with our partner agencies to identify offenders that are moving into our areas and where they're living, and remain on top of what their monitoring conditions are. That could be as a result of a release from an ongoing criminal offense. Perhaps it was as a part of sentencing, a conditional sentence order, which was a form of serving a sentence within the community, provided you abide by a number of conditions. What we do is we make sure that our members are paying attention to these individuals. We're checking on their conditions, and again, we're just trying to help them maintain a law-abiding lifestyle. By extension, through their associations, we want to make sure that the message is sent that if people are here on conditions and we've identified them as part of this program, that we will conduct checks on them. Not that we're picking on anyone, but again, these persons have demonstrated themselves to be problematic to our communities, and we want to make sure again that they're abiding by a law-abiding lifestyle and taking the reasonable efforts to change their lives to be law-abiding citizens. Over Q3, there were 13 habitual offenders that were monitored, and through the progression of this program, there's a few observations that we've been making. We're seeing fewer people deciding to take up residency or be placed in our detachment area, because I do believe that the word is getting out that people are getting checked. We have offenders, as you'll notice through this report, that have been pleading guilty to their remaining charges to move off of their monitoring conditions. And there are those who are just simply leaving the area, which again, I believe are all successful. Ultimately, we do want people to seek the help that they need to change their lives. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that there is no impact to our residents. And the details on those offenders that we were monitoring through Q3 are there before you. We have a persons of interest program, so those are people who we know are aware of in our areas that aren't currently on monitoring conditions but have participated in harmful behavior towards our residents in our area. And again, those people are those who we remain aware of. Our general investigation section of Strathmore does maintain contact with some of these individuals just to check in and make sure that they're aware that we're aware that they're still here. License plate theft, that forms up a large proportion of some of our theft from motor vehicles. As a result of trying to tackle that, our security screw program remains in effect at the locations you see identified. So at the dealerships within Strathmore, at the RCMP station, Langdon detachment, as well as the fire department in Strathmore, residents can stop by, pick up one of these security fasteners for free. And it really goes a long way to prevent license plate theft. The problems we find with license plate theft, often people don't realize that their license plate's been stolen until either you get a phone call from the police in the middle of the night asking if you know where your car or your license plate is, or if people happen to notice that it's missing. Oftentimes, offenders will steal a vehicle and seek to target license plates from vehicles of similar makes and models to go undetected in the vehicle that they're currently in possession of. Often they'll swap the plates, so unfortunately at times, some people may be stopped with a stolen license plate on their vehicle, and at times roadside they find out that their license plate has been stolen. And for anyone who's had to replace his license plate, there's quite a bit of time and effort that goes into place to replacing the license plates and some cost involved. So providing these fasteners free of charge, it goes a long way to help try to prevent license plate theft. And we are seeing a large uptake. In fact, I believe it was the GM dealership ran out quite quickly and they decided to buy a whole bunch of their own and try to make it standard on any vehicle that they sell out of that dealership. So there's been a lot of help that way. We have our hotspot patrols. So these are patrols that are undertaken in addition to our regular calls for service. You notice that we have a high degree of visibility within our rural areas, and that's intentional. With the assistance of our Watch Clerk program, our members are more available to be in our rural areas. We want them to be well placed to prevent, detect, and deter crime. But if crime is reported, then again, we're well placed to respond, again, with the quickest response times that we have. I've given comparisons here from what you can see on a quarterly basis where crime levels are. So in our rural policing report, I've given data on Rocky View County as well as Wheatland County. As you can see, for break-and-enters, we're still within our historical averages here with a bit of a dip in Q2. I can say through the last part of the last fiscal year, we were seeing increases in those types of property crimes, but we're happy to see that they're starting to come down towards our normal levels, and we're generally at or below our historical levels. What you see here in the red line in the graph represents our historical highs. The blue line is our historical lows, and the bars in there, that's where we're at through each quarter on our numbers. Again, theft of motor vehicle, we're still within our historical averages. Theft of motor vehicle is a bit reduced as well, with some general upticks here and there. So what I can say at this point in Q3 and generally at the year, we're fairly on track to meeting our goals of meeting our historical averages. Again, we'll wait to see what our end results will be, but we're going to continue our efforts in this regard. You'll notice as well, done a bit of a breakdown as far as the types of break-and-enters that are occurring, mainly residences, some businesses, but as far as Wheatland County is concerned, some of these residences are Quonsets, garages that are being targeted to try and steal vehicles or tools. And particularly at the end of the last fiscal year, there were some unoccupied residences that were hit multiple times just because people knew that the residences were unoccupied. So we've gone through effort to do some crime prevention through environmental design when our members are on scene, and we offer assessments of properties upon request if a resident does want some tips or tricks about how to reduce the likelihood of having their property become a victim of property crime. Our second goal, again using the same methodology for our goals, again was to reduce the level of overall reportable collisions and reduce injury collisions within our roadways. To achieve that, we have a regular enforcement, as you can see, has been laid out. We have our check stop program throughout our area. In Q3, we had 4 check stops where we checked 425 vehicles. And during those check stops, there was 3 24-hour suspensions, a suspension for drugs, as well as an impaired immediate roadside sanction suspension as well through those check stops. But most notably, just even in Q3, there were 31 immediate roadside sanctions, which is our non-criminal impaired charges through the immediate roadside sanction program in a single quarter alone, which is far greater than what we were able to achieve with regular impaired driving investigations through that program. The sanctions are still fairly stiff, they're immediate, and they've been fairly impactful. Regardless, we're still detecting quite a few people out there that have had too much to drink to be operating a motor vehicle on our roadways. So our efforts will remain vigilant, again, to prevent, detect, and deter crimes in that area. Our borrow program is ongoing. Again, it's just a matter of maintaining visibility, again, to encourage people to make safe decisions with respect to how much they consume and how they get home at the end of the night. Our Enhanced Road Safety Initiative, this is still a matter that that's underway to try and get off the ground at zero impact or financial cost to our rural municipalities, but more to come on that as we make some progress. I've laid out our collision data and the factors that we're seeing as far as the contributing factors with collisions within the county areas. As you'll notice, Q3 and even through Q1, 2, and even through last year, over half of our collisions are a result of animal strikes. I can say that our overall reportable collisions are increasing and have increased. Again, mostly as a result of animal strikes, and we have seen some slightly elevated, but not uncontrolled injuries, mainly as a result of intersection type offenses where a person's trying to turn when it's not safe to do so, or being rear-ended at intersections as well. Fortunately, no fatalities to date in Wheatland County area. but there have been some serious crashes. So more work to come on that. Community engagement, again, is also very important to us. We want to make sure that we're meeting with people to engage them, to find out what their perceptions of crime are, to seek some feedback, and again, to try to deliver a service tailored to the residents of the areas that we serve. Q3, the main events that our members were at attendance in the rural areas was Remembrance Day events for Red Surge duty to be present during those ceremonies. We have a community liaison program. We have, I think, 16 total groups. There's 6 in the rural areas that we have liaisons assigned to. And again, that's just to get feedback from our community groups, to have a link with the RCMP or the policing services in the area should any issues or concerns arise, and again, to be more involved with our community events. Our youth aversion program remains in place, although fortunately we don't have a high degree of youth crime, so we're still seeking, not like we're actively seeking, but we have yet to identify youth to participate in the program. So again, I guess that's with mixed results. It's there if we need it, but we're fortunate that we don't have a high degree of youth crime, that we have people that we're referring into it. With the assistance of administration, we were able to broadcast our participation in the Rural Capture Program. Now, this is a program that residents can voluntarily sign up through this website to identify that they have video surveillance on their property and to identify their contact information, as well as what their surveillance can see from their residents. On the back end for our members, if they're investigating a crime in whether it be through our rural areas or within the town of Strathmore, they can pull it up almost like Google Maps. There'll be pin drops wherever people have been identified for video surveillance, and it makes it quite easy for us to contact residents to see if they can check through their surveillance and if they're willing to share that video surveillance with us if they happen to see something of value. We've been seeing a slow uptick with people signing on in our rural and municipal areas within our detachment area. But again, we have yet to have a high degree of usership where it's becoming most effective. I can tell you, when I rolled out this program in Chestermere, we did have a number of successes simply as a result of people with timely provision of video surveillance versus having to knock on doors. People are at work and we're unable to contact people. With technology these days, people can send you a video right from their cell phone sitting at their desk at work, which has been very helpful in the past. A few other things here that we're pointing out here. There's online crime reporting. So for minor crimes, they can be reported online. And the Alberta RCMP app, great way to get a view of our crime statistics, as well as crime mapping and meter releases that are released through the RCMP. And lastly, a watch clerk program, still very helpful. All of our positions are filled, and they've gone a long way to helping our members remain visible as much as possible in our rural areas. The last parts of the report, you'll see where our call volumes are in comparison between Wheatland and Rockyview, as well as our traffic, year-to-date traffic calls for service as well, which I separate out of there mainly because those statistics also include violations that are written. So I just want to have skewed results when you're taking a look at our calls for service. So you can split out what's the calls for service are for other offenses versus traffic offenses, which include proactive work. That concludes the overview of where we stand today with Q3. I do know that Q4 of last year, as well as Q1 and 2, is in the agenda packages as well, with similar layout and similar data and similar results as far as what we're reporting on. I think, just based on, I guess some of the time that's been since I've had the opportunity to appear before council with these reports, perhaps maybe it's most appropriate to leave most of the time for questions if there are any.
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions from councillors?
Yeah, I just have one on the watch clerk program. There's 4 positions, and they're funded by Strathmore, Wheatland, and Rockyview. And the 4th provincial position reallocated by the detachment commander. Who do I talk to so that we can get all 4 of them reallocated, so that, because we are paying a substantial amount into local policing, and we have also playing the watch clerk. So I'm just, who can you recommend that I talk to in order that this watch clerk thing in your opinion, works? So therefore, it should be, I think it should be part of the allocate, like we should be able to allocate the $800,000 or $900,000 a year, that $75,000 of that goes towards a watch clerk.
Well, that's a bit of a complicated matter as far as the resourcing is concerned. Now, the reallocation is simply Well, the Watch Clerk program is an enhancement over above what the services have been provided, and it's, much to our gratitude as a result of 3 positions funded by the town of Strathmore, Wheatland County, and Rockview County. And it has provided fruitful results. The 4th position, in order to ensure that each of our 4 watches have support, it was more of a reallocation internally of resources to maximize that efficiency. Now, in order to have those positions switched over to be fully funded by the public service or provincially, those positions would need to be created through the province and allocated to the RCMP to be distributed. Now, with that, we do have a funding formula typically that's in place with how much support we have for our rural resources by public service employees. We are at that formula right now, so we're not eligible for any increases as it stands under that formula. And in order to have those resources approved, again, that funding would have to come down from the province to be allocated to the RCMP, and then those positions to be created and put into our detachment. It's certainly something that a lot of detachments would benefit from, but then it comes down to an agreement with, as far as the province is concerned, on funding for those positions and whether those increases and investments will be made on the provincial level. And now I do understand that because of the police funding model, rural municipalities are paying a percentage based on a formula of policing. Again, that's a funding formula between municipalities and province. As far as what that translates into resources, resources are generated and they're allocated internally where they're needed most. So I know that's kind of a long drawn out answer. I think to make a long story short, without the preamble, that lobbying would have to be with the province to increase funding, to increase the level of provincial resources available for support staff, and to have them allocated as desired. I don't foresee that to be an easy or process without complication, but that's what I would recommend as a starting point. Some of that advocacy can come through RMA with meeting with our commanding officer as far as, again, support for our Watch Clerk program and a desire to have it funded through the province, but really it's the provincial stakeholders that decide what funding comes to the RCMP and where that's going to go.
Thank you.
I believe we brought that up at last RMA directly to the K Division and things like that particular thing, recognizing the fact that we've used this program for years and just wanted to get recognition of that fact because a lot of communities don't have that or don't utilize it, and it's proven that it works. So we have already pushed that forward. We'll just have to follow up on it.
And I think the results largely speak for itself. I was just at a standard village council meeting, and even at Rockyford as well, they notice an increased level of visibility with our members in their communities, and they wonder if this is as a result of, we're adding patrols or overtime. And my explanation is still yet the same. Our members, instead of doing paperwork in the office, are out in our rural areas, and they're visible and they're able to be present. In fact, a lot of our rural property crimes, as you'll notice with the November crime stats, some of that traction came as a result of our ability to shut down a problematic property, again, in Rockview County's area, but closer to Strathmore, which did have a reaching impact on Wheatland County as well as the town of Strathmore, because our area offenders are transient. They work in the area, and if they have a clubhouse, so to speak, to hang out at, they're going to be around in the area. We were able to shut down one of those properties, which saw measurable gains in our property, reductions in our overall property crimes. I do compliment, and again, I'm thankful to our counties as well as the town of Strathmore for that investment, because it's been very helpful in keeping our community safe. I know that with the request for resources and dollars that go along with that, it's not cheap. But again, I can tell you that the investments that our counties and the town of Strathmore has made has come up with very fruitful results, much to the benefit of our residents. So again, I'd like to express my thanks and gratitude for the continued support.
Thank you. Any other questions? Entertain a motion to accept his information.
Also move.
Motion's on the floor. Any discussion? Call a question. Councillor Priest?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link?
In favor.
I'm in favor. Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laurson?
In favor.
That's carried. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Reeve again.
Thank you. My apologies for taking so long. And I would just thank you for all of the information that you provided and for the service that Strathmore CMP provides to the region. And I would echo the comments that you were just making around increased visibility. And I do hear that from ratepayers, balanced now again with some increasing concerns around rural crime. So that, I think, at least from what I was hearing, was quelled for a while, but it seems to be escalating again, and more suspicious vehicles and more things like that. So appreciate the visibility and the responsiveness as well. Thank you. Perfect. We'll move to agenda item 3.2. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
Thank you. My report is on page 71 of the agenda. I've been tasked with EPR on several different levels with Alberta Care, Drumheller Solid Waste. I'm on a committee for that as well. And just kind of seeing how that rolls out. It is very, all the municipalities in our area have signed on to that. And of course, there's lots of questions about it. Some things that we haven't thought about, collection of some commercial products and things like that that were been collected forever, where the EPR program does not cover, but we'll roll that out. But yeah, it's been a learning curve, and lots to see how it rolls out, but it's out of our control. So we're just kind of reacting to it as it comes. So, and if there's not any questions, I will make a motion to accept my report as presented.
Any questions?
I was just curious about the metal recycling agreement with the Drumheller Solid Waste. I know you're new to the thing, but I'm just curious if that's something, so is this something where people could bring their metal recycling and would get paid for it? Or is this just a way of getting rid of it?
From my understanding, there's two ways metal is collected. At our transfer site, some of it county staff do. And at the Drumheller Solid Waste site itself, it's just basically drop off. Okay. And then it's collected and they collect the money off. There is no fee for bringing it there.
No fee, but I mean, we bring a lot of metal to Brooks to get actual payment for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Drumheller is not a recycling center that way, like whereas there's a couple in Calgary that pick, they'll weigh you in.
Yes.
And recycle it on the spot. That's what we would do. We collect it. And then through various means, it goes to those things. So there's trucking costs involved and things like that. So there's no profit to be made, I believe.
Okay.
Right? So.
Okay. Thank you.
But it's just a service to provide for people that don't have large loads or.
Exactly, smaller amounts. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good question. Any other questions for Deputy Reeve Clausen? If not, there's a motion to accept his report. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Baker?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laursen?
Favor.
Motion is carried. We had an addition to the agenda 3.21.
Yes, there's an Alberta Care Conference. There's one that happens spring and fall usually. Sorry, there's an Alberta Care Conference. There's one that happens spring and fall typically. This one's in February 28th to March 1st, and it's in Camrose. It's with the EPR program especially, there's lots going on there. And just asking for council's permission to attend. I am also a director on Alberta Care. So if there's any questions about that. I did send an email out with the whole thing. There is no alternates for this. Council has never chose to have an alternate on Alberta Care. So yeah. I'll make the motion that I participate in the Alberta Spring Conference for mileage per diem. And that's it, right? Yeah. Mileage per diem. Oh, there's motion to approve Deputy Reeve Clausen's attendance at the Alberta Spring Seminar 2024 in Camrose, Alberta from February 28th to March 1st, 2024.
Any questions on the motion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen? In favor. Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laursen?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 3.3.
So Division 1 report is on page 78, starts at page 78 of the package. So WFCSS, I'm happy to continue as chair of this board. We have, in December, we discussed a draft 2024 budget, and I was not present for the January meeting, but it was passed. It's largely, well, I should not comment on it. I wasn't there. I attended the Wheatland Housing Management Body Christmas party, which was a wonderful time, residents and staff. Our two members at large. Bursary and Environmental Stewardship Awards Committee will be myself, Jason Wilson, Sandra Desmet, and Ryan Greer, all of them being members at large. So that's really great to get participation from those members. Super proud to report that Craig and Celeste Christensen from the Standard area were chosen as Wheatland County's Farm Family Award for the BMO award for 2024. The board was presented with plans for our agriculture and environment team to create some shelter belts at the Carsland Lagoon and Rosebud Oxbow, and an eco buffer demonstration site to be created at the county office site just west of the office here. Funds for these projects had been approved by County Council, and the team outlined how partnership with TELUS Environmental Solutions and Shakti Reforestation will greatly offset the costs, and they're continuing to work with local services to continue to collaborate for more cost savings. We held an ALICE meeting so that we had voted to approve some continuing funds for projects that were started 5 years ago. They work on a 5-year rotation, so those ones are up for renewal, and we approved 3 for continuing support, and we are actively looking for new projects to help landowners with. Wheatland Housing Management Body, January 18th was our meeting. Sadly, we have not heard yet from the province regarding our request for AHPP grant money to build our new lodge, so we are still waiting to hear about that. We voted to approve a 3% lodge accommodation fee increase, which is a part of the rental fee that covers meals, housekeeping, and activities for residents. And the board had approved an increase to the room portion of the rental fees in 2022 as well. We reviewed our 20-year asset management maintenance and replacement schedule for the existing lodge. And it's at the age where some more significant upgrades and replacements are going to be necessary. So we had voted to increase the capital reserve requisition from $150,000 last year to $300,000 for 2024. We will be looking to replace the roof on the lodge, and that we will get more information on exact costs and timelines for that shortly. We have voted to approve the 2024 budgets for Wheatland Lodge and the Wheatland Social Housing, which were largely the same as previous years, with some adjustments, of course, for increased costs of utilities and food. The villages had requested that a letter be sent on behalf of the board to the Minister of Seniors, Community and Social Services to request that the ministerial order be modified to allow villages to have 2 members each named to sit on the board with only 1 vote. The CAO had advised them that it's not likely to be granted based on our conversations with the ministry. So we've sort of tabled that. We have a new housing advisor who's been assigned to our board, to the lodge. So she is just beginning her new job at the end, had started the end of January. So we are wanting to have a meeting with her so that we can discuss some of these kinds of questions about, we still have outstanding questions, I guess, following our governance review regarding just each of our roles and how we navigate between representing our ratepayers or not, as we were suggested. And so that kind of feeds into this idea of villages wanting to have more than one representative. Their argument being that if their one person is not there, then they don't have a vote on certain issues. But as suggested in the governance review, we're meant to represent all of the residents of the area, not necessarily our own. So there's still some uncertainty about how you balance those competing requirements. So we would like to have a conversation with our housing advisor to get more advice there. And then we'd like to do that first, and then following that, we'll have a strategic planning session going forward to make sure that we are driving in the same direction and that we're all in agreement about future plans for the board. What's going to say there? I'll leave that. We had the Ag Service Board Provincial Conference in Lethbridge, Alberta. It was excellent. There were some very good presentations, some noteworthy ones that I thought were about succession planning. And the Tabor Sugar Beet presentation was really interesting. Yeah. There has been no response yet to Wheatland County, the Wheatland ASB's resolution from last year on the review of the Land and Property Rights Tribunal. I just recently received from George a document from, I think, a year ago, kind of on that topic, and I haven't reviewed it yet. So that's something that we could look at. But the provincial ASB is still pushing to get a response regarding that resolution. And you'll see that I have included minutes for the last couple of Wheatland Housing Management Body minutes for review and comment. So I'm expecting a couple of questions. I think we had some outstanding questions from last meeting. I can answer a few of them that were presented last time. One question was about minutes from September 2023. In the minutes, it noted that M3 had indicated we would need an additional $2 million to move forward at that point. And I just want to clarify that it did include the $1.4 million in land costs from that Strathmore were contributing towards the project. And so that leaves roughly $600,000 that they were thinking we would require. The board had approved $325,000 in October towards that. So that's where that stands. Another question had been what studies have been done to determine the level of need, and I'll just point to the 2019 needs analysis that was done by Gordon Associates. And again, in 2023, not to reinvent the wheel, Derek Weiss had performed a high-level needs analysis in preparation for the work that he had done. And so that was a higher level using really Stats Canada numbers and projections. The other question was what had been spent on consultants to date. And This is a little trickier to answer because a lot of our discussions about this are in closed session. I can point to all of the minutes in 2023. Publicly available information is that $670,000 in approved budgets had been made in resolutions in minutes. So those are budgeted amounts, not necessarily expenditures. But that gives you an indication of our most recent spending, I guess. So if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I will move for acceptance of my report for December and January.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any questions for Councillor Laprise? Call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 3.4.
My report is in the package. I don't really have anything else to add. And when January came around, I was away. So I'll move my report as presented.
Any questions for Councillor Bigger? Call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link.
In favor, sorry.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 3.5.
My reports are on the server. I'm not sure. I think everything's sort of been covered pretty well. The only thing I want to bring forward now, and the ASB conference was in Lethbridge in their brand spanking new exhibition building. It is an amazing building. Like, if we had something in this area, it would be fantastic. But having said that, the fact that they're going to be $7 or $8 million in deficit for this first year of operating, I think there probably has to be some more thinking about something like that. I want to commend the ASB board, and George Bloom was part of the organizing of it, and it was very well done. And one of the reasons, I just want to give you a little story here, why I love ASB so much, is because of the divergent thoughts. We had a fellow there who was talking about sustained food production, and he's looking for an electric tractor to go farming in Saskatchewan. And he was not booed out of the building. Everybody politely listened to him. It was a viewpoint that people were willing to, I don't think anybody in the building other than him agreed with his opinion, but everybody was fair and gave him a listen and all that kind of stuff. And one other thing is, I'll tell you where the people that go to ASB, different breed of cat, there was a lecture given on hydrogen, and the first question went from hydrogen to Zeppelins to machine guns in 22 seconds. I timed it. And where else do you get that kind of a question? So anyways, the conference was fantastic. I want to give kudos to George, and I will move my report. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Excellent. Any questions for Councillor Eichert?
Just to second that, that is excellent analysis of, the respectful, camaraderie around the room was excellent. Nice to see.
It is excellent. Any other questions? Call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester? In favor. Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to 3.51.
I'm just wanting to, ASB allows and pays for all members that sit on the board to attend ASB conventions. And we've had discussions about what happens when a councillor gives up their seat on the ASB to a member at large, which Councillor Clausen did, Member Clausen did. And I just want to, I think that, I don't know if we have to put this into a bylaw or whatever, but I think that council should pay for per diem and mileage for Councillor Clausen to attend meetings. And if anybody else, if any other councillor member gives up their seat to a member at large. And Scott did Councillor Clausen has done a very good job, but the person that is sitting, replacing him, Ryan Greer, he brings a perspective. He's a sheep farmer. He's working with how to graze around solar panels and all this kind of stuff. He brings a perspective that it needs to be held out there, because this is where we're going, and we're going to have to, as much as I may detest these renewables, there has to be a solution to making them as little of an eyesore as we can. So anyways, I'd like to just make a motion that the council pick up the per diem and the mileage for Councillor Clausen to attend the ASB in Lethbridge.
Any questions or discussion on the motion? Sorry, Councillor Kester first, and then Councillor LaPrice. Sorry, I missed.
I know we have members at large on the ASB, and the ASB is a defined size. And I'm against councillors going and getting their per diems paid if you're not part of the ASB. There's other conferences, like I see on one of the other reports, there was a AAA or AA FCSS conference. There's RMA conferences. No, I think if you're part of the board, you go. It's not like your division wasn't there at the conference. Your division, you have there. So no, I can't support it.
Councillor LaPrice. Thank you, Councillor Kester. Councillor LaPrice.
I kind of come with the opposite perspective that we all sit as councillors in this agricultural county. And I think these provide such a large amount of information about trends and things that are happening that it's worthwhile for all of us to know. I think there is value in it, so I would support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor LaPrice. Any other questions or comments? Of course.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I had the opportunity to have somebody fill the seat that I felt had a need, had a different perspective, and I'm happy to do it. Going to the ASB conferences, there's a lot of information there, and there's a lot of networking. You kind of get your head focused around that for a couple of days, so I find it very, very valuable. If council chooses to support that, that's great. Just clarification on the motion. And in your discussion, Councillor Reichert, you had said for conferences, are you just doing the one specific or anything in the future?
Well,
if I may, if we could consider the motion as presented, and then I wouldn't mind a second motion just for administration to bring back whatever policy framework would need to be amended for going forward.
Perfect.
Just so it's delineating the two. Any other questions or comments? You have to. I would echo Councillor LaPrice's comments just around the value of the ASB conference. I had really hoped to be there. I have found in the past that they have been invaluable, and had another responsibility I had to take care of and had to miss it this year. Wheatland County is fundamentally agricultural based. And I respect your comments, Councillor Kester, around, it is an ASB conference, but the value of the information and the presentations, I think, are broadly applicable to a lot of the governance that we do as councillors of the county as well, and important for us to have an understanding of the emerging issues. Frequently, there's advocacy items that are raised that are important in terms of agricultural operations and how legislative changes or regulatory frameworks can impact our agricultural producers. And I think it's important that we be aware of those and prepared to add our voices to the weight of other voices advocating for some of those issues. So I do support the motion and would support amending the policy framework so that it would support this in the future. Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
Can you put me to the last of the vote? Does it matter? I'm in favor.
Councillor Kester?
Opposed?
Councillor Laverson?
Opposed.
Motion is carried. Thank you, everybody. Perhaps a second motion regarding just administration bringing the policy back?
Just prior to making that motion, administration is bringing back to the committee of the whole on February 13th the elected official policy, which is, and there was a lot of unanswered questions on the remunerations aspect of it. So administration is currently working on that policy. It might just be a good opportunity at the committee of the whole to provide administration recommendation or
That'd be perfect.
direction. Yeah. So it is coming. There's a report that's completed in eScribe, just waiting for that.
Perfect. Thank you. Excellent. We'll move to agenda item 3.6.
My report's on the agenda. I was at the conference and there was one interesting fact, I believe, for ever since I was a kid, that the Hindenburg blew up because of the hydrogen in it. And according to the chap at the conference, as it wasn't, the hydrogen was long gone before the thing started on fire. It's extremely lighter than air. It was the infrastructure itself that burnt up. So after all these years, I thought that was, because it was quite a ball of fire when you look at it on the news. So yeah, if there's not any questions, I'll move my report.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Kester. Any questions? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
And Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 3.7.
So my reports are in the agenda. I can't see what's up on the screen or anything, so I will just, if there's any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll move my reports as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Laverson. Any questions? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Again, I'm going to ask council consideration for an amendment to the agenda. If we could have consideration to move agenda item 4.33 just to prior to 4.1. If we could have a motion to such effect.
I will make that motion.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Good morning.
Good morning, Council. Rachel Hansa-Beaton with Planning Development Services to present a request to waive the required $25,000 deposit in accordance to condition number 7 on development permit DP 2023-152. Administration received a request to waive the $25,000 refundable security deposit that is required during the development permit application process. The landowner claims that they are unaware of the deposit requirement and that it is financially burdensome. The request can be found on page 235. Would you like me to read it this morning?
All of council should have already reviewed the RFD, so just if there's anything you would like to highlight.
Okay. Some background information. The county has been working with the Lakes of Mirfield Homeowners Association to address ongoing concerns with builders and lot owners not adhering to the approved architectural control guidelines or conditions. of their development permit. Concerns include final lot grading not completed, open excavation, foundation work stopping, construction commencing without building permits, builders not completing the exterior finish, curb stops have been damaged, builder backfilling lots and encroaching onto WID right-of-way. The landowner claims that they are unaware of the deposit requirements. Administration notes that the restrictive covenant registered on the title states that the homeowners association is a party to the restrictive covenant for the purpose of enforcing the covenants and the coordinating development of the subdivision. As per the Lakes of Mirfield architectural controls, the builder will provide the county with a $25,000 refundable security deposit as a condition of development permit approval. This security deposit is to ensure compliance with the approved building scheme, building plans, and landscaping plans. The deposit will be refunded once construction has been completed and the conditions of the development permit are met. All landowners in the Lakes of Mirfield are bound by the articles of the Homeowners Association. The architectural controls are available at the time of purchase and land transfer. All landowners have the opportunity to review them in order to determine all necessary requirements of constructing a dwelling. In conclusion, staff are recommending the council refuse the request to waive the $25,000 security deposit required in accordance of condition number 7 of development permit DP 23-152. Waiving the security deposit places the burden of correcting any damage and grading issues on the county and disincentivizes the landowner from ensuring that their lot is developed in accordance with the architectural controls that they agreed to when they purchased the property. As shown in figure 1 on page 263, this site is a corner lot and is located adjacent to a public utility lot. Municipal infrastructure surrounds the parcel on 3 sides. This means that there is a greater potential for damages and a higher cost to mitigate damages owing to its location. Council has 3 standard response options to consider found on page 233. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions regarding the RFD?
No question, just comment. I sit at quite a number of HOA meetings and this has been discussed. The HOA is actually very pleased that the county has taken this step forward. There was always a security deposit, it has increased. It is to protect the taxpayers of the area, because if nobody damages get done, which, you know, ultimately we don't want any damages done, nobody does. It's a deposit. So if damages were done and there's no deposit, it's the taxpayer that picks up the bill for it. And this keeps the builders in check. The lot owner is ultimately responsible, but they contract out the work, so they need to make sure that these people are doing the work accordingly, and if they damage it, go after them. I think Councillor Riker could speak to construction things, that there's a reason this is there. I mean, there's damages. Curb stop repairs can, you know, be $3,000 or $5,000 pretty quick. Sidewalk repairs, just to get somebody out there is probably a couple grand to get them out there to do something plus the work. So, yeah, I'm in full support of this. Unfortunately, it hurts some people, but it's to protect our investment in the community and the taxpayers' investment in the community. It's in no way to deter any kind of development. It is what's common now, and there's a reason why.
I'll mirror what Councillor Clausen has said. Having been in the construction industry, there has to be something in there to keep the contractor honest. And unfortunately, it could come back to the homeowner, but if the homeowner picks the right contractor, it saves a lot of problems. You just have to go to any of the new subdivisions that are being done in, I know in Lakewood, in Strathmore, and there are, the curbs and gutters are put into the development before the lots are developed. And there are sections, hundreds of feet of sidewalk and curbs and gutters that will have to be replaced before the final inspection and the county takes over the deal. So, and that is always serious money. So, no, It's unfortunate, but I have to agree that this just makes, we have to, as a county, protect ourselves.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions or discussion?
I can make a motion.
Certainly.
I'll make a motion that council refuse the request to waive $25,000 security deposit required in accordance with condition number 7 of the development permit DP 2023-152.
Thank you, Deputy Rafe Clausen. Any further questions or discussion? We'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Bigger.
In favor.
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Rafe Clausen.
In favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson.
In favor.
Thanks, everybody. Motion is carried. We'll move back to agenda item 4.1.
Good morning, Council. Brian from Administration. On page 124 of your agenda package is the CAO monthly report. This includes December and January just because of the canceled council meeting in the start of January. The resolution tracker is included in the package as well. That starts on page 128 of your agenda package. As always, anything in yellow is deemed ongoing. Anything or colored in green is deemed complete. If there are any questions about the report, please let me know. Thank you.
Any questions for CAO Henderson?
Really happy to see the 22% discount in WCB premiums. It shows that the county takes safety seriously, and good on you guys.
Any other questions? Yeah, I would echo that. The Wheatland County performed 44.21% better than industry peers in safety, resulting in that discount, which is impressive. And I think it really points to the commitment to safety of the entire team here. And yeah, critical that our team is safe. So thank you for that. Council's wishes.
I'll make the motion that council accepts the December 2023 and January 2024 Chief Administrative Officer report for information.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Bigger.
In favor.
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Rafe Clausen.
I support this.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson.
In favor.
Motion is carried. A motion regarding the council resolution tracker.
I'll move that council accepts the February 6, 2024 council resolution tracker as information.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Any questions or discussion on that? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Bigger.
In favor.
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
In favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson.
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 4.12.
Yes, good morning, Council. Brian from Administration again. On page 136 of your agenda package, it's just a new type of calendar that Administration has kind of brought forward for just council information. We're wanting to convey as much information clearly and concisely to council as possible. Our intention is to bring this calendar back to council twice on an annual basis. So the information that you see in this report are just kind of a collection of just key municipal dates and legislative dates that council may find useful. If council doesn't find usefulness in this report as well, Administration has no problems not doing the calendar. We thought it just might be an idea for council to kind of see the general operations that are governed by the MGA and also just key dates for the district RMA general meeting schedules. And those general meeting schedules are just hosted by different municipalities. So sometimes the meeting invites can come out earlier, sometimes they come out as later. We just wanted to provide a placeholder for council as well, just so meetings aren't missed, or just an opportunity for council to get just an overall picture of kind of what's going on. If there's any comments on this calendar, if you want it to continue or discontinue, please let me know. Thank you.
Any thoughts from council?
I particularly liked the central RMA general meeting schedule. It is good to get these things in our calendars early so that, yeah, like you said, sometimes the invitations come out a little later and you're kind of caught off foot or whatever. So I like having lots of notice for that. I thought the key municipal dates was interesting. I don't know that it necessarily guides our actions, but it's interesting to know what kinds of things you're working on and striving towards, I think. So I liked it.
And I feel the same. In this world of technology, we've all evolved where things get sent right to your phone, and that's my go-to is always the phone calendar. And there's been some boards I go on that don't necessarily do that, or it comes from somebody else, and it's you end up losing like track of time because you're so used to going to that, and it reminds you the day before. You kind of lean on it, so it's nice to have this as well, as long as it gets sent to the phone. As that way, it works good. So. Even as a placeholder. I mean, we were just at a meeting the other day and we sat for, 20 minutes trying to figure out a day for 2 councils to figure out when we could meet again. You know, it takes time to get a lot of people together, and, you know, we're all doing lots. So I like the information.
Any other questions or comments?
With that, I'll make the motion that council accepts the key legislative dates calendar from January 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2024 as information.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Baker.
In favor?
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
In favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Lowerson.
In favor.
Thanks, everybody. Motion is carried. I would just to echo the comments. I really appreciate the dates all being outlined, and I wouldn't mind seeing it continue to come forward. I think it just allows us to be aware of what the dates are and obviously know that administration is like addressing each of those responsibilities. A lot of it is legislated, but even just being aware of the cycles and when things are done, it's interesting for me and helpful to know that we're attending to all of those things. So thank you for putting that together. It's very helpful. We'll move to agenda item 4.13.
Yes, good morning, Councillor Bryan from administration again. I had a brief discussion with Councillor Bigger in December to bring this forward to the next council meeting, and it's just regarding the municipal involvement with the Strathmore Wheatland Chamber of Commerce. In the report, I've kind of outlined just some broad summary comments that Councillor Bigger and I discussed to bring forward to council for a discussion of council. And I think the basis of the conversation and the points, and hopefully I'm not misrepresenting them, but I believe it was that the chamber might actually see more benefit having local business have more participation in the board than local councillors. However, I'll leave that discussion up to council. The report starts on page 141, and it is in there. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for bringing this forward for me. I do believe that I was on the chamber a year back or 2 years back, and there was we were all involved, but as a member elected from the county, I was actually a director. Now with going forward, something has changed in the meantime. I'm not even actually a director, so I'm just observing the meetings. I really feel that position that chair I'm sitting in would be beneficial for someone, hopefully it would be someone from rural that would come and sit on the chamber, and that is a business owner, or it would pertain more to them. I would think it would be more of an asset. Staff is, it goes to the meetings and they present a report what the Wheatland County is doing. I would hope that the chamber would continue to promote their and help the rural and Wheatland County's involvement in some of their discussions and decisions. But I really do think it should be business based. I feel that it would be it's very much an event. Like, it may not cost much just to go to the meeting and sit, but it is very much an event-driven committee. And it could add up to a lot if you were to go into all the events. And, you know, a lot of them are in Strathmore. I mean, that's a bigger retail and a bigger center. So I think that us just not even putting someone there or delegating someone to be on that board, it would actually open it up to be more purposeful. So I would, I guess, ask that we maybe redirect or direct. Not that I don't want to support them. It's just that I don't think that me sitting in that chair is going to be as much an advantage as someone else sitting there.
Any questions or thoughts?
So I just have a question about the existing board. It's changed a lot since I was there, and I'm just curious, do they have, I can think of one person in particular who sits on the board who would be a rural business owner. Are there a few others, do you know, or what is the makeup of the board as it sits now?
So when I only have been to one meeting,
Okay.
the other meeting would be coming up this week. But I only know of one also. So, I mean, that would be up to them. I'm hoping that they're looking for more directors from rural.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a big, we did such a big push to get Wheatland involved. I think it's very good that the businesses collaborate, network, and do their events, and that the county is involved in them. But I can't really tell you who was who, and where they were.
Yeah.
It was mostly, I would think, Strathmore, unless some of the ones that didn't attend were from rural. I'm not sure.
I just want to, agree that our economic development officer participates and does some sharing of information back and forth between different things. And he also attends events and, so we might already have representation there from a council perspective, county perspective. But yeah, the encouragement of board members from Wheatland County would be kind of good. I mean, it's up to them, of course, but it would be good to have more people focus that way too.
So,
yeah, I mean, this is for the businesses. It's their thing. We kind of spurred it, got it going, revived it again, and then it's kind of gone. I recall probably last year hearing from, I believe, our council representative at the time that there was a lot of ask for like running these events and things like that. And I think they run the parade in Strathmore too. Like, there's a lot more added to it, I think, now than ever was originally intended. It's become more of an event thing. I agree with you 100%. That being said, we can always attend as council and buy a table if we need to and attend and support it, which I have no problem doing that. Because it's a good way to show that you support the businesses. But having politicians try to run a business operation does not work. The business people have a different mindset, which is exactly what's needed there. If they need to ask for funds or whatever, there's mechanisms for that we can help.
So going forward, I'll move that council direct Council Berger to present the topic of, that's not really, that we, I'd like to move that council accept the absence of a director being appointed to the Strathmore Wheatland Chamber of Commerce for the duration of this year, at least, or should I just do it for no appointment and then talk again at the organizational meeting? I guess I'm asking for direction.
So administration put forward a recommendation that would just kind of at least present the topic to the board. So right now, nothing would change from the county perspective. The county councillor, which is Councillor Bigger, would still be appointed to the board, but this would just be more to direct you to facilitate that conversation at the board level.
Oh, okay.
Just to understand their interest and garner their feedback on the thought process behind this.
That sounds good. There is a meeting coming up that I'll try to attend and bring it forward. I've asked for roles and my responsibilities, but I didn't actually receive anything back, so I shall have a discussion with them then.
So we have a motion on the floor. Would you be open to rescinding that motion and
I will.
making the recommendation?
Yes. Thank you.
So you're making that motion? The one in the
motion.
package? Okay. Is everybody clear on the, Councillor Bigger's original motion was rescinded and she's moving the recommendation in the council package? Is there any further questions or discussion?
Just discussion. I support this because I like the way they approach where we could have the discussion there. So if there's something you missed or whatever, and they feel that very strongly that they want representation, then we have that. We haven't closed the door yet. We're just kind of facilitating the conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the purpose of this is not to close the door. It's just a better.
I guess that's the wrong way to
Yeah.
place the words, but.
I think it's about having the strongest representation at their meetings possible. And I'm hearing strong support for business owners really directing the work of the chamber.
Yes.
And then Wheatland County partnering in ways that are appropriate. There are some models too that exist. There are municipalities that have provided funding to chambers of commerce, and we have provided some modest funding in the past to the chamber. I've heard strong support from council for the chamber work. One model is where the chamber does a request for funding and brings like a terms of reference with a framework for some outcomes that they would then report to council, whether that came through our economic development officer or whether the board came annually just to review the work that they've done, if there is that funding. And yeah, I'm certainly not hearing this as any deviation from support for the chamber. It's just getting the right voices around that table that are driving the work of the chamber and
exactly.
Strong support for the work that they do. Other ways that we can augment that is if the chamber sends information, you could maybe offer this if council, if nobody objects, administration can amplify some of the chamber messaging on our social media just to broaden that reach out to rural business owners. And then I do try and bring attention to business owners throughout the county to the chamber. Even agricultural producers, there are benefits available through the chamber. And agricultural producers obviously are business owners. And so they have that opportunity to take advantage of benefits if that's something that isn't, if they're interested in that. So I think there's still good, strong opportunities for us to collaborate and to work together. And as you stated, having our economic development officer there on an ongoing basis, we have that liaison between the county and the chamber. I appreciate you bringing this forward for discussion, and I think the approach is strong because it gives us that ability to have that conversation with the chamber board and just to determine the best path forward for the strongest chamber. Any other questions or discussion? Call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
Favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 4.21.
Good morning, Council. Corey from administration here to provide you a report for corporate and financial services for December and January. It's found on page 144 of the agenda package. So first, before I jump in, I just want to kind of highlight what we did in 2023. It's by no means does it justice. I'm really proud of the team and the accomplishments that they did. But I did want to point out just a few kind of key things. So one, we were a successful proponent for the RFP for a 5-year program for the Wheatland County DIP assessment program. And that has a possibility of extension. And we got a great assessor, so I think this is a great thing. Also, under the assessments, they went from what was a very paper-based process to fully digital process during assessments, and I think that's just an amazing accomplishment there, and has brought a lot of efficiencies to their process. And the other thing in finance here is a finance team has been working on just doing a lot of workflows and enhancements there that will make things more efficient. And we also released an online payment gateway system that replaced the credit card process where people had to phone in their credit card. So that's all fully online. We also updated the tax bylaw to remove late application fees for the TIPS program and to incentivize some planned participation there. Yeah, the late application fees on that. And information services, we implemented a new phone system, and we're looking at expanding that out and seeing how that can improve our processes more. We also have been improving our security solutions and cybersecurity solutions. So thank you to Council for your support during budgeting in regards to our cybersecurity. It's really important and really appreciate that. We've also released several forms automation processes, and we've also completed some foundational digital transformation stuff. So that'll set us up for success for the future. That also includes we just actually pushed through a lot of our HR files into the system, and they now have a process that they can use going forward. And we also completed a really interesting thing, which was the 360 Street View project. And we've had a lot of feedback from that's been great for internal teams. And I think we've also heard some public has given us some good feedback on that as well. So that's the summary of 2023. As far as this year, as far as just the last couple of months, just a couple of highlights. We welcome our new office administration, Kendra. So you'll see her outside doing the reception there to the financial services team. We also, again, just to reiterate the HR files system. So we've moved HR to a digital process, and we're excited because it's one of the first ones, and I think it's going to plow the way for some new efficiencies, and it's also allowing the teams to be able to have a little bit more transparency in the future regarding their own file, like their own HR files, which is really a really interesting thing. Finally, we're just moving our maintenance manager and citizen request project through, so hopefully we're going to see in the somewhat near future where we'll have a citizen request system. So things like requesting pothole repairs and stuff publicly, and as well as that system will work for groups internally to be able to process those requests. And that concludes my report, and I'm here for any questions that you might have.
Any questions regarding the report?
No question, just comment when you mentioned about potholes. I just flashed to an Alberta Care Conference where they had in front of their garbage trucks, they had cameras, and it would actually, they'd use the computer would just say there's a pothole here and log it and create a work order while the truck's driving around. And I thought, wow, we're there. What happened to the guy just saying, hey, there's a pothole there? But it's just amazing the world we're in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other questions or discussion? Do we have a timeline for when the maintenance manager and citizen request project might sort of be started?
Yeah, so I think they're looking at the first iteration releases around March timeframe. I'm not sure if it's the citizen request system itself will be released, and I can bring that information back. But they are aiming for March timeframe.
That's exciting. That's excellent. And yeah, I love these year-end reports that outline everything. I think it's impressive what your department has done in terms of modernizing a lot of the systems and the technology that we're leveraging and the streamlining and the focus on, making processes user-friendly and still maintaining some of those traditional ways to do things as well, but also for those who want to take advantage of more technology-based digital solutions to have those available, I think is just incredible. I'm excited about the development permit process and some of those things. I have one favor. If you can spell out some of your acronyms. I had to look up SDE because I am not a technology expert like some of our team is. some of them are easier for us, but if you can just, and some of them you did spell out. If you could just watch that though, because it'll save me having to Google.
Apologize, which page was that on, just so I know the context of that one?
It's on page 148. I knew yesterday what it is. I do not recall today. There is a lot. It's not a big deal. It just makes it easier when I'm reading the package, but absolutely incredible work from the department. And I'm excited about that request project, because I think that will really streamline, even as counselors, it will be good for ratepayers to have a mechanism just to flag things for administration and hopefully make things more efficient for some of our teams that are obviously busy addressing those issues, but just streamline the process to bring them to their attention.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm unaware through the reef of that particular acronym. In the future, we will make sure we spell them out. I apologize for that, and I will bring that information back to you.
Yeah, I can tell you what it was just because I had to look it up, but anyways, as well, it's spatial database engine, I think, is what I assumed. Can you remind me who the first municipal tax refund was? I know you guys told us at our last meeting, but I was trying to remember.
It would be for the Rocky
Mountain GTL. That's, or they have a, maybe a new name. Okay. And then, is there anything more that we can do with the address changes? Are we still getting, do we feel like most people now have gotten them through?
Yeah, and we've been working with Canada Post, so through the chair. Yeah, we've been working through with Canada Post. Really, it's in their hands to try and communicate this. Whenever we hear that we are having address issues, we try to communicate that as well. And I think last year in 2023, there was a lot of communication that went out because of the tax notices that went out. And I think there was a lot of wins. So people did realize and have that changed over. So there was a lot of work on the administration side because we got a lot of stuff back and I had to resend that out. So I think there was a lot of updates, but yeah, there's still at large some more of those issues. But we are working with Canada Post and whenever we see it happen. So
excellent. Thank you very much. Any other questions or discussion?
I'll make the motion that council accepts the corporate and financial services report to council for December 2023 and January 2024 as information.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Clausen. Any questions? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Baker?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laursen?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Thank you so much. We'll move to agenda item 4.22.
Morning, Council. Joel here from Financial Services. Let me just find the item on here. Where are we at here? Oh, here we go. Just to talk briefly, it's Financial Services' favorite time of year. It's audit time. So what we have in this report is MNP's their audit service plan. It's pretty standard. It's relatively similar in terms of scope and the time frame as last year. The main thing would be, I believe it's on page 4 of MNP's document. It has a good outline of the dates and the expectations around that. I can scroll just briefly to that. So we've already gone through the December interim audit. That went well. And then in this upcoming next couple of weeks, right now, we're just closing the books off and prepping for the fun part of the audit itself, the field work. And then the March and April approvals are relatively close, like I said, in terms of approval timeframes as last year for the audit reports. Staff are available for any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a quick question. It's just clarification. On page 169, it talks about the audit process, and it talks about looking at or what kind of overall reliance they do, and it says that they use low or none, and it says where we cannot rely on controls because they are weak or absent, or where is deemed to be more efficient to carry out a high level of direct substantive tests of details. This isn't suggesting that our controls are weak or or absent, is it? Is this just saying that they're going to look at a high level of detail into our processes, controls? I'm just not sure that I understand exactly what they're meaning there. Why they would choose that one versus one of the others. Do you know that, or maybe that's a question for the auditor?
I'm not sure if maybe CA O'Brien could speak to it.
You know what? I actually don't know. And both Joel and I have a heavy financial background, and that one is you know what? I just will have to get to the auditors and ask. And actually, it would be good for them to present just independently. Yeah. I think they would heavily rely on our controls. To be honest, our controls are actually pretty strong here.
This is what I expected to hear. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was sort of surprised.
Yeah. So it would be a great question to ask them when they are here on April 2nd. If you wanted to present sooner, also please just let us know, and we can get them in whenever you guys.
No, I'm sure it's fine. I just it's a curiosity, and I will ask it when they come to present that.
That would be a great question. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. Thank you. Any other questions on the audit service plan? If not, council's wishes.
I'll move the council accept the December 31st, 2023 financial audit service plan as information.
Thank you, Councillor Eichert. Any questions? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laursen?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Let's move to agenda item 4.23.
Joel again from Financial Services. This is for the commercial vehicle inspection program charges that the Strathmore Handy Bus utilizes county resources to do their CVIP inspections. And then it's standard practice historically for council to review the 6-month billing period and write that invoice off as an in-kind donation to the organization. So this is just bringing forward the latest 6-month period. Just for some more information, the first 6 months of 2023 were $5,250. And so with the addition of this $3,750, it would be $9,000 for the total 2023 year. Compare that to 2022 was $9,750 for 2022. So that just kind of gives you an overall idea of annually approximately how much is being donated to the organization. Staff are available for any questions.
Any questions? Council's wishes.
I'll move that council directs administration to write off the commercial vehicle inspection program invoice for July to December 2023 in the amount of $3,750 for the Strathmore Handy Bus and provide this service as an in-kind.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Any discussion?
I'm was a proponent of getting this started to track all this stuff because I believe it was almost undervalued what we were doing. So I'm very happy to see that we're tracking it because it does, being from this industry and I know how expensive the inspections can be, the ability to utilize our services are still cheaper than going out to the private sector by far. But at least we're doing something. Thank you.
Yeah, good comments, Deputy Reeve Clausen. Any other discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laursen?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Let's do 4.24.
Joel again from Financial Services. So this is for the Q4 2023 in-kind donations update. This kind of follows through with the prior report as well. What we have here, as in the prior quarters, is a list of all of the organizations that received in-kind contributions for that period. We noted here, as you can see, the Strathmore Handy Bus, just in anticipation showing that value for that period as well as the Holiday Train event and the Gleason Day Remembrance Day event. That's kind of a total summary of the 8836. Staff are available for any questions.
Any questions?
I'll move that council accepts the county in-kind donations update Q4 2023 report as information.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Any discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Baker?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Let's move to agenda item 4.25.
Morning again. This will be my last one. Joel from Financial Services again. So this is a brief report on just summarizing some initial information that staff was able to obtain from the new grant program from the province, the Local Government Fiscal Framework Grant Program. So this is replacing the Municipal Sustainability Initiative in the current year, 2024. So what we have provided here, just for council's information, was a graph showing the historical MSI grant, breaking it down by the capital and operating components, and then the anticipated or announced, I suppose, 2024 values for the LGFF, just to kind of show a comparative value of what the county can expect to receive as part of that program. So some other initial information that we were able to just kind of ascertain at this point was that the allowable categories of what, in terms of what kind of capital and projects that we'll be able to apply those against, seemed like they're relatively similar to MSI. But we did also note this graph from this table funding formula, which is quite a bit different from the initial MSI program. The province municipal affairs has also, I think this upcoming week, they have a informational seminar for that staff are going to obtain some more detailed information. And at that point, there's opportunity for more questions on the program itself. So the intent here was just to provide some background detail of what was available. Staff are available for any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
I do have a question. Maybe this is something you'll need to find out in sessions coming up, but the needs adjustment, do you know how that is derived or determined? What determines need?
Yeah, through the Reeve. So this certainly, the formula and those kind of calculations is something that staff will be attending the session and getting some more information about how that plays out.
My other part of that question is about the growth pressures, whether it's just population-based growth or would there be like industrial growth considered in that? That'd be my other question if you were looking for questions to ask when you go.
I can see, I think we may have some other information that can explain it more fulsomely that I'll share with you as well. There was some definite frustration from the RMA representatives around using population as the singular factor in allocating funding for growth. We don't feel that that is representative. Some of the other factors, capital stock does capture some of other factors that drive it, but we don't feel that that is representative. It's also one of the rationales for the resolution that we did regarding infrastructure funding for non-residential growth, and just for requesting the province to partner more in funding that strategic investment. So RMA certainly continues to advocate on that front as well. Overall, where the province landed was fairly balanced, and rural municipalities came out fairly neutral in terms of the changes, despite the significant increase in the population weighting in the formula. There are definite concerns around that weighting being a precedent for other programs being driven more by population. And we definitely, as we're all elected officials, need to continue to advocate for that, just so that the representation of the land and our agricultural sectors and industry and those types of things aren't lost. So, but yeah, it's definitely a more complex formula, but the hope is that it will more accurately address infrastructure needs going forward. So. Any other questions or discussion? Council's wishes.
I'll move that council accepts the local government fiscal framework grant information report as information.
Thank you, Councillor Kester. Any discussion? Call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
And Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Thanks, everybody. Motion is carried. Let's break for lunch. Is until 12:45 good for everybody? Perfect. We will reconvene at 12:45. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll call the meeting back to order. Let's start in on agenda item 4.31.
Good afternoon, Council. Sherry Bars with administration to provide the December 2023 and January 2024 Community and Development Services update, which is found on page 202 of the agenda package. Really don't have anything additional to add at this time, other than we would like to say that the soft launch of our Laserfish DP application did go live, and we're working through any issues. And so far, first DP was issued with the Laserfish program, so we're quite pleased. And other than that, I have nothing else to add, and I'm available for questions.
Well, that's exciting news. Any questions regarding the report? A lot to celebrate in the report. I was saying for the previous department report, I like to see the year end. It's interesting just to see everything that's happened. I especially want to note, I think it's really, I love that the Wheatland County Fire Service is doing the Junior Firefighters program. I think that's exciting to institute that for youth and just to increase that awareness of what our firefighters do in the county and the incredible service that they provide. I unfortunately got to witness our fire service work a couple of nights ago. Our neighbors across the road lost their shop in a massive structure fire. Well, it seemed massive to me. It probably doesn't seem massive to our fire service, but just watching the cohesiveness of the teamwork that night was incredible. We had multiple fire departments respond from across the county, and just the effectiveness and the efficiency and just watching those teams work together was incredible to witness. And I know our neighbors are incredibly grateful, and I would echo their gratitude to our fire services. So I would echo those comments around we're extremely proud of our rural fire associations, villages, and our fire departments, and all of the mutual aid. I think it was really demonstrated the strength of our fire service, and it's in those moments when you recognize the gravity of the situations that they deal with and how critical their service is. Are there any other questions or discussion on any elements of the report? If not, a motion to accept as information.
Also move.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Let's move to agenda item 4.32.
Good afternoon, Council. Sherry Bars with administration to present the Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework Agreement between Wheatland County and Rocky View County for Council's approval. An Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework Agreement, or ICF, describes services to be provided under it that benefits its residents and facilitates and encourages cooperation between municipalities, to ensure that municipal services are provided efficiently to residents. This is accomplished by providing integrated and strategic planning, delivery, and funding of intermunicipal services, allocating resources efficiently when providing local services, and ensuring that municipalities contribute funding to services that benefit their residents. Wheatland County and Rocky View County completed an ICF agreement in 2020, which was approved by both municipal councils. The ICF agreement required that Wheatland and Rocky View Intermunicipal Committee review the agreement every 4 years to review the terms and conditions. The Wheatland County and Rocky View County Intermunicipal Committee met on November 23, 2023, and after reviewing the existing agreement, recommended that the ICF agreement, which is found on page 219 of the agenda package, be brought back to each council for approval with no changes other than extending the term of the agreement to begin on March 1st, 2024 and end on December 31st, 2028. Administration is recommending that council approves the ICF agreement between Wheatland County and Rocky View County and authorizes the Reeve and Chief Administrative Officer to sign the agreement for a term of 4 years from March 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2028. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Comment. This came about, we were there for another meeting, and their staff, actually, Rocky View staff, said this would be a great time to update this document. So it was just a, you know, this is how this is supposed to work. It's a wonderful thing that working with a neighbor that you can get along that well, that it's pretty easy to accomplish these goals. With that, I'd be happy to approve the recommended motion. I don't feel like reading it all. I just ate lunch.
Deputy Reeve Clausen has moved the recommendation. Any other questions or discussion?
I have a question or a comment. On page 222, it talks about how Wheatland, our municipal services that we offer, talks about seniors housing, and then in brackets it says through the Wheatland County Regional Housing Commission. Should that be updated? Yes, to Wheatland Housing Management Body.
Good eye.
The only thing I noticed that.
Yeah, it probably should.
I think Drumheller Solid Waste is also Drumheller and District, right? DDS.
Drumheller District Solid Waste Association.
So question to administration, we could probably approve just with those textual amendments.
It's the Drumheller and District Solid Waste Management Association.
I stand corrected.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Laverson. I knew there was a number of letters in there. I see the acronym more than the full name. Thank you, Councillor Laverson. Were there any other concerns or questions? If not, I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester? In favor. Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. And thank you to the committee for your work on that. We appreciate it. Let's move to agenda item 4.34.
Jessica Russell with Planning and Development Services, presenting a second time extension request for subdivision application SD 2022-010. The application proposed to create a parcel within the Origin Business Park. The application was approved July 12, 2022, subject to 4 conditions. At this time, 2 of the 4 conditions of approval are outstanding. Subdivision approval for SD 2022-010 initially expired July 12th of 2023, and on September 5th of 2023, the applicant received a time extension to December 12th of 2023. The applicant has has requested a second time extension to December 12th, 2024, providing a rationale for the request in the agenda package. Section 657, Part 6 of the Municipal Government Act allows council to grant a time extension to the requested period. Administration is recommending that council approve the second time extension request for subdivision application SC 2022-010. This concludes the presentation of the time extension request for subdivision application SC 2022-010. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the report? Council's wishes.
I'll move the council extend the subdivision endorsement deadline for application SD 2022-010 as a second time to December 12th, 2024.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
And Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Let's move to agenda item 4.35.
Good afternoon, Council. Dave from Administration. On page 247 of your agenda package is the report for the Town of Strathmore Wheatland County Recreation Cost Sharing Agreement Extension. At the December 5th, 2023 council meeting, council considered a request from the Town of Strathmore to extend the Recreation Cost Sharing Agreement for one more year. Council requested administration bring back an agreement for council's approval. Attached is the agreement extension that has been signed by the Town of Strathmore. The contribution amount of the new agreement is $428,037.25. Administration is recommending that council approves the Town of Strathmore and Wheatland County Recreation Cost Sharing Agreement extension and authorize Reeve and the CEO to sign the agreement. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the report? Council's wishes.
I'll move that council approves the Town of Strathmore Wheatland County Recreation Cost Sharing Agreement extension and authorize the Reeve and Chief Administrative Officer to sign the agreement.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Any discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
In favor.
Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Thank you for bringing that forward. We'll move to agenda item 4.41. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council. Bryce from Administration presenting the Transportation and Agricultural Report. First, we'll start with capital projects. Highlight bridge file 13558. Installation of a 3,300 millimeter culvert was completed by internal forces on December 22nd, and the roadway was reopened prior to the holiday break. We also refer to Table 1 capital projects at the end of this report for a summary and progress on all the 2023 capital projects. Also highlight that we completed a RFP for engineering consultant services. The tender closed on November 23rd, 2023, with a total of 9 bidders. Upon review and evaluation, two engineering consultants are being awarded contracts with the county, Sedulous Engineering Inc. and SEMA Plus Inc. Their services are to commence on March 1st, and negotiations on agreements are already taking place. Under facilities, there's a correction to the agenda where it says final inspection of the old Clooney Hall was completed. The inspection was completed. However, the buyer requested an extension on the possession date. So now instead of February 1st, it is now March 1st of 2024 will be the new possession date. And then I'll have George, our Manager of Agriculture and Environment, come up with another update.
So just so you're aware, we forgot to include the Working Well workshop on March 13th at the Wheatland County Administration Building, and it will be from 6:30 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. So I just want to make sure everyone was aware of that.
And that concludes our presentation. Cody, George, and I from administration are here for any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any questions regarding the report?
Just a question on the, because we're under time constraints for Goldfinch raw water. Are talks with WID proceeding as they should be, or are there like, is everything going the way it should be going?
I can do that. Yeah, through the chair, conversations have started with the WID with both written and in-person meetings. We are still proceeding with those conversations and discussions. There'll be some more information coming up in a presentation today. I believe 4.44. We'll have some updates on that matter.
I might be in the wrong deal here. Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
No, your question was good
Oh, yeah.
where it
Okay.
was. You're
Okay, then I've got one more question on recent completed updated studies. Cheadle Stormwater Drain Water Study, when is that going to be brought to council?
So there was an initial study, sorry, through the chair. There was an initial study completed by our engineering consultant as part of a road construction capital project. Upon review of that information, we decided to separate the road project from the drainage study, and we're going to come back with some more information on the drainage study. We have requested that from the consultant, and it'll be brought forward to council at a future date.
So the separated part isn't brought forward. The reason I ask is there'll be a question or two, I would believe, at the open house today at Cheadle.
I see. So, yeah, so through the chair, there will be more information. Currently, we've gathered some information on some potential solutions for the area, but I think a presentation will be brought to council at a future date in camera to start, and then some more after that, but not in time for today's meeting, unfortunately.
Thank you.
There could potentially be an opportunity for community engagement as we look at options for that, though, depending on the impact to the community. So, any other questions regarding the report? If not, council's wishes.
I'll move that council accept January 2024 Transportation and Agriculture Department report as information.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Any discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Laverson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 4.42.
Hello, Council. Cody Zimmerman with administration, presenting the land purchase for public road allowance connection to Siksika lands. On December 19th, 2023, Council moved bylaw 2023-29 in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, allowing for the opening of a temporary road right-of-way for up to a period of 2 years. The purpose of this bylaw is to ensure public and emergency access to the Siksika Nation lands via Township 232 and Range Road 242. Since that time, administration has been investigating various solutions to open up permanent access between Township 232 and Range Road 242 via a registered public road allowance. One of the options investigated was the purchase of private lands immediately west of the existing intersection, followed by the registration and establishment of a permanent road right-of-way connecting Township 232 and Range Road 242. The proposed purchase area has been outlined in the image provided in the report. The widening of the existing right-of-way with the proposed configuration will allow enough width to connect Township 232 and Range Road 242, and will also improve intersection sight lines and approach angles. Following registration of the right-of-way, construction of a new intersection approach and removal of the old approach would need to be completed, after which Council could repeal bylaw 2023-29. Administration has preemptively approached the owner of the subject lands and negotiated a flat fee purchase price of $2,500 for the 0.36 acre parcel. The offer was accepted by the landowner, and a partially executed road acquisition agreement is in place. If council approves the land acquisition, the agreement can be fully executed by the county. Following this, the administration would proceed with registering the acquired land with the land title with land titles incorporating it into the existing Range Road 242 public road allowance. And that concludes my report, and I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? I do have a question. So for steps following this to maintain road access, it looks like if we went with this route, we would need to construct the road on the new right-of-way. Has there been a cost analysis comparing that to potential legal costs of alternative options, or I guess alternative costs to other options?
Through the chair, so yes, we would have to take out a construction to move the approach and remove the old one. We have done some cost comparisons. I might turn it over to planning to Sherry to answer the legal side, but
through the read to council, yes, we're investigating the two most efficient and least costly method to move forward, and at the moment this is the alternative that is best suited, but we're still following through on one other option. But at this point, this is most likely the best avenue to proceed.
If we go this route, do you foresee any challenges with the reclamation of the road that's on private land? Or is there, we have set fees out for that kind of thing, correct? Like we have land people, just trying to foresee a different angle coming at us.
Through the chair, as far as removal of that approach goes, anything within the right-of-way, once the new approach is installed, we could legally remove. As far as reclaiming anything on the private lands, I think that would be a discussion between us and the current landowner if they wanted us to actually remove that gravel and reclaim it or not. So.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the work that administration has done on this and that it provides a potential path forward. Any other questions or discussion? Council's wishes.
I'll make the motion that council authorize the Reeve and CAO to sign the road acquisition agreement for a widening of a portion of Range Road 242 public road allowance as described in the report.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Clausen. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 4.43.
Hello again, Council. Cody Zimmerman with the with administration with the snow plowing policy update. Per Council Resolution CM 2023-11-38, administration has undertaken a review of Wheatland County Snow Plowing Policy 9.3.7, incorporating provisions for county-supplied fee-for-service snow clearing at community centers owned or leased and operated by nonprofit community associations located within Wheatland County. The current policy and the proposed updated version are attached to the report for reference. The attached draft of the proposed policy update shows a substantive revisions and additions to the policy in green text. For ease of review, other non-substantive changes have not been highlighted, but we can provide a printed version of all of the changes if requested. It's quite messy, which is why we've done it this way. Just to summarize the major changes within this table provided within the report, we did a format update just to align the current policy with, or with the policy with our other current policies, just following the same format, so restructuring. Some word and structure changes just to provide more clarity and conciseness within the policy. Revisions and additions to some of the definitions within the policy to provide greater clarity of terms. Road classification updates to better align with our current standards and other policies. These changes do not alter any current service levels, nor do they alter the priority at which they are currently occurring. And then, of course, the addition of the snow clearing operations at community facilities policy section. which, if approved, this new section of the policy will authorize administration to provide fee-for-service snow clearing at community facilities under the conditions and procedures listed. If council approves the updated policy, administration will bring forward for council's review and update the master fee schedule of fees bylaw, recommended rates for snow clearing services at community facilities. Presently, administration intends to recommend a fee amount that would provide for full cost recovery of any services or materials provided. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing this forward. It is a significant change, and I appreciate all the work done on the policy. Any questions?
I do have a quick question. And sorry, I wanted to go back into the lease agreement for Clooney Community Hall and I don't know if it's the Lions or the Community Hall that have that agreement, but I think normally, correct me if I'm wrong, but the plowing had been just occurring when you were in town kind of thing on that priority 3 type basis or whatever. But would this change that then? Would they then have to have a lease, what is it called, municipal access agreement, and there'd be fees associated, or how does that change for them and for other communities that are already sort of being serviced?
Through the chair, so because that hall specifically is county-owned land, an access agreement would not be required.
Right.
The agreement will only be for privately owned lands or halls. As far as the priority of which it's completed, that instance, again, that hall, the clearing of those grounds is covered within the lease itself, within the conditions of that lease. So we're following those conditions as loosely as they're applied. But yeah, it was in accordance with the priority 3 when we're in town. For this specifically with, this is more speaking to privately owned facilities and how we would address them and how that priority would stack up. So essentially, we wouldn't be prioritizing the paid for service overplowing of roads or current lease conditions or things of that nature. It would be kind of the last priority, essentially.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand. I just wasn't clear about the county-owned land part of some of our facilities. Yeah, but that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions? Council's wishes.
I'll move that council approves the revised snow plowing policy as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Laprise. Any discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bicker?
In favor?
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. We'll move to agenda item 4.4. 4.44.
Good afternoon, Council. Bryce from Administration again. Before I start on this one, I just want to correct something I said earlier on the monthly report update regarding the Goldfinch question. Sorry. The update will actually be in the committee of the whole meeting on the 13th, not this one. So if you need any more information, please reach out. Otherwise, that updates next committee of the whole meeting. Onwards, water shortage management presentation. On December 20th, 2023, administration received a letter from the Minister of Environment and Protected Areas regarding drought conditions in Alberta. A copy of this letter is attached to this report, and some of the key aspects of the letter are summarized below. During summer 2023, several water basins reached critical drought conditions due to low rainfall and high temperatures. It is expected that there will be less snow and rain in 2024, along with higher temperatures, hiding the potential for significant drought conditions into the spring and summer of 2024, particularly in southern Alberta. AEPA defines 5 stages for managing water shortage conditions. These stages are summarized in the chart below and are described in further detail in the attached document titled Water Shortage Management Stages. Currently, Alberta is in a stage 4. Staff from Environment and Protected Areas along with agriculture and irrigation, are working with water license holders, major water users, and other partners to develop local water conservation plans and water sharing agreements. The minister is requesting that all municipalities undertake the following in the coming months. 1, initiate efforts to monitor water supply infrastructure proactively, paying particular attention to water intake relative to water levels. 2, begin a review of terms of your municipality's water license so that you are aware of any conditions that may limit your ability to withdraw water during a drought. 3, alert municipal water managers to prepare to be engaged with officials from the drought command team should conditions within your municipal water license need to be triggered. And 4, develop a water shortage plan so your municipality is prepared to respond if water availability decreases. Administration has begun addressing the 4 requests listed in the letter from the minister as follows. Under number 1, staff and contractors have been informed and will be monitoring all water intake levels. And we have also started looking at reducing water use as part of our water production processes. Below is a table that administration compiled, which is a summary of all the water licenses held by the county, and it identifies which license agreements contain in-stream objectives. In-stream objectives are triggered in times that the river flow rate drops below a predefined threshold, requiring the license holder to implement restrictions on the use of water drawn under that applicable license. The following table was taken from the summary that was created. I will highlight on that table that there are 2, a new license on that table, the Antera license, which was purchased a few years ago. That does contain water in-stream objectives. And just make a note on the WID conveyance. That is a large conveyance agreement that we have with the WID and we've used in different ways. That also has not so much in-stream objectives defined to it, but the province has the ability to change the rates of diversion, either increasing them or decreasing them on that license. So that potentially could be impacted by a drought situation as well. So just wanted to highlight those 2 out of that table. Water managers, foremen, and contractors have been informed to be ready to engage with officials from the Drought Command team. This has actually already been, the county has already been reached out to, and they're scheduling meetings for this month to start almost immediately. The GM will be attending those meetings on behalf of the county. And finally, administration is drafting a water conservation and demand management measures plan, as we'll describe here further. So essentially, our water and sewage bylaw allows for us to put in a water conservation and demand measurements plan, which basically allows us to put into effect water restrictions or water use restrictions. If we were going to implement this plan, some of the measures could be restricting non-essential uses of water, including washing of vehicles, driveways or sidewalks, putting water into decorative water features, or any other purpose where water is utilized externally on a building and could impact irrigation of lawns and gardens, and etc. The final plan will contain directions and restrictions to all residents that are receiving water from the county and that can be enacted in situations where the county is experiencing water supply shortages or in-stream objectives are opposed, or if there is direction from Alberta Environment. Administration is currently reviewing plans and strategies from other municipalities, rural and urban, in a process to create a specific plan for Wheatland County. A draft of the plan will be brought to a future council meeting for consideration. That is the presentation, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. We appreciate your work on this. Any questions?
Reading this, so are we going to modify change the bylaw to give specific instructions at what levels we do this, like urbans do? Like odd and even water restrictions or something like that? Or are we just going to leave it up to staff to?
We don't have any intentions of bringing a policy back or changing or altering our bylaw at this point. We will be working with those working groups and kind of taking best practices and presenting them back to council for council consideration.
Can I follow up a little bit? I've worked in other municipalities where there's certain triggers for it, and it's just really straightforward. I don't know if it's something we want to look at. Like right now, may not have the time to do it, but something that's just people know when it gets to a critical level, this happens, this happens, this happens, and it's just automatic.
Yes, through the chair. So there are several many examples that other municipalities use. Some have a staged approach to water restrictions, which seems to be kind of the common practice these days. Some are attached to the bylaw, some are not. Some are policies, some are not. So we're looking into all of those right now, and we're trying to create a plan that would be effective for Wheatland County. When we bring that forward, then I think we could have those other discussions about how we want to address whether or not to attach it to a bylaw or not, or how we want to approach that. But currently, the plan that we are currently working on is an early draft, so not supplying that yet, but does contain a staged approach, a kind of a stage 1 through 4 type of approach, which is very common with other municipalities in the area.
Councillor Baker?
Yeah, it's more of a comment. I'd like that to be done. That staged program would be great for, like, you have your fire, like what critical, keep everybody informed, because people do want to, and they can govern each other, and that's pretty much what happened. But what happened in Carsland last year, when we were going to be cut right off, it panicked people. They can see that you can see the Bow River's going down, but I think a staged approach would be appropriate. And you may have to put in a area specific for that too. But yeah, I like what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Councillor Laprise?
I was just wondering if you've contemplated partnering with WID in just thinking about how different it is between the WID water users versus county water users, and some have restrictions and some don't, and that kind of thing. It sometimes might look like not fair that some people are restricted and others aren't, or something like that. So I don't know, it's just a consideration that maybe just to have a common message even, I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, we'll take that into consideration for sure. I know that to follow up on some of the information from the original letter and the meetings that have been requested by the province that are being scheduled for this month, all the regional partners and large water users, including, I'm sure, I shouldn't assume, but I know actually for sure that the WID, for example, is included, as well as us and all of our neighbors. And we'll all be sitting down, and the province wants us to discuss ways to share, to reduce, to work together on all of those kind of things. So I'm sure those will be part of the conversations as well, just for information.
And I guess I should just clarify, I'm not talking about irrigation users, I'm talking about yard water users. Yeah.
So even people that might be on their own systems, just some messaging around that. The only thing I might ask is just for consideration, I see on page 304, restricting water use in gardens is referenced. I know this is very draft. If I could just advocate for an exception for like fruit and vegetable gardens, just because that can be a factor in food security for people. So I don't know what council's thoughts are, but there's often an exception for that, or at least I've seen that in some instances. Other than that, there's certainly, I did listen in on the drought town hall that Minister Schultz provided, and they're certainly anticipating the potential for significant widespread drought throughout the province, depending on what we get for snowpack over the next couple of months. So I think it's excellent that we're being proactive and starting to look at potential ways to mitigate impacts. One thing just for especially reassurance around that Muirfield license, the minister has indicated that Obviously, they'll be doing careful consideration of what water is prioritized, but she certainly was very clear that drinking water for residential use will be prioritized, and as well as fire flows. So given the heat and the dryness, we are anticipating another potential significant wildfire season. I think there's still 60 some wildfires actively burning now. That's not well, I shouldn't put a value statement on that. That does occur at times in winter where we have wildfires that continue throughout the winter, but certainly between drought and wildfire, these will be significant issues that the province will be potentially dealing with. So I'm glad that we're doing our part, and I know our residents and Albertans will step up. And this is also a right across Canada issue. I think Minister Schultz said something like 74% of Canada's land mass is anticipated to be in drought conditions or is in drought conditions. So certainly not isolated to Alberta.
In this, there's no real recognition of raw water storage. Like some of our facilities have significant raw water storage, some take direct off the bow. So there's gotta, it's not apples to apples, because raw water storage, the capacity design is usually for a year, and you can take that water at after spring runoff or something, which is, I think, a lot of these places, and some of ours included, do not have that capability. It's something we should be looking at in the future, because it gives you that chance to store water for a while. And we just, Alberta environment doesn't always demand it, but it almost should. And City of Calgary is a prime example. They do not have hardly any raw water storage. And that's the problem. They're trying to draw amounts in August when the river's down. Lots of the big cities don't, but they should have it. And it's, it's pricey up front, but in times like this, like I can think of our board that we sit on, and Muirfield and things like that have significant raw water storage that makes a difference. So, and there's no recognition of that in this, but there should be.
So it's certainly that's been highlighted by the province as well, and certainly long-term capital planning needs to be considering that storage capacities throughout the province. Also, just so we're optimizing our utilization and our draws. So certainly a top priority that's being discussed as well. Any other questions or discussion? Perhaps a motion to accept the report as information, and we look forward just to the continued work on this, and we appreciate it. Somebody prepared to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Clausen. Call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bigger?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Thank you. We'll move to 5.1, correspondence.
I have comment on one of those.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
The recreation utilization, read it, and it's the town's response. I made sure that I forwarded that back to the president of the Lacrosse Association, because they're the ones that asked, and see what their response is. Whether they want to still pursue it or not, I'm just going to wait to hear, and I'll bring it back to council.
That's perfect. Thank you. Anything else anybody would like to bring forward?
Could I raise the letters written by Cluny residents regarding old abandoned buildings? I think we had kind of discussed this quite some time ago, but about potentially finding a way to create a reserve for maybe each hamlet or something that they could use somehow. I'm not sure how we would fund those reserves, but if we had a reserve in place that they could draw on to sort of somehow vote for a property that they most want taken care of, and then, every 4 years or something like that, you could do another one. I don't know. So I don't know if you don't mind, I'll move that to direct administration to investigate options for funding reserve funds for each hamlet to address abandoned buildings. Yeah.
Any questions on the motion?
What if we don't have any abandoned buildings? Do we get a reserve fund for something else?
So I don't know, I would say like Muirfield does have reserves for pathways, or I was thinking about Division 3 is using some gravel money for pathway. You know, we have Goldsmith gravel pit just north of Cluny, and maybe that's an option for setting aside, you know, for one community beautification or community enhancement is a pathway. For others, maybe it's getting rid of derelict buildings. So these are the kinds of thoughts that I had going on that could investigate. So yes, I guess if you had a reserve that you wanted to use for something else.
That's fine.
We'll go to Councillor Kester Councillor Eichert, and then Councillor Kester.
I think there's quite a bit of money in a reserve for Cluny at present time that come from dissolution. Maybe you can look at that.
Yeah.
That's what some of that money was for.
I don't know that there was that much in the reserve right now, but I could be wrong. But yeah.
Couple $100,000, I thought. Memory serves me.
Administration can definitely look into it and provide some options as well.
Yeah.
This has been occurring. So I think this could be something we can bring back to the committee of the whole, because I've often thought that there should be separate funds for hamlets for doing whatever, and having a reserve fund for every hamlet. And I don't know if there could be a formula made or not, but then when a hamlet, let's say Cheadle they want to upgrade the insulation value of the community hall, then there'd be something to draw for, where you wouldn't have to compete against everybody else in Curb, right? Because these are county residents. And we've always thought like we've been slowly working towards this. So I think it'd probably be good time to have another discussion on this.
I think the motion on the floor would align with potentially bringing it back to committee of the whole. It wasn't specific to a council meeting, so administration could do some work on that and bring it forward. I like the idea and support it as well. And I think we just have to think more broadly in terms of, often we think of projects or improvements rather than necessarily dealing with, you know, a nuisance property or something like that. But perhaps if administration can look at options for addressing some of those issues. I mean, essentially it is an improvement to the community. It's just not in the sense of a project like we might traditionally think of. So I appreciate that. And I think that can give a response too, because obviously there's some significant concerns around the issues that this is creating. And so we want to be responsive to that as well. So I think it's a good option to bring back and see how we address. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
And I guess I need to know if there are properties or if they're private properties, or if nuisance and unsightly has been used. Because that nuisance and unsightly bylaw is pretty powerful. If you use it the right way, you can get things done. But we need to have all that information, right? So.
Yeah.
I think too, just in terms of those bylaws, if there's an opportunity to engage with the ratepayers, and if there are owned properties where that bylaw could be exercised, we do need formal complaints. And I know I do get sometimes some frustration from ratepayers around that, but there's a strong, I detested it when I first got on council, but there's a strong rationale for it. And it's just that we can't uniformly enforce all bylaws throughout the entire county, like over 1 million acres, like enforce all of them. And then the problem is if we are, specifically enforcing on certain properties without a complaint, it could be perceived as, we're being just, there could be challenges with that. So if there are complaints around that, but I think there are some issues too with abandoned or, those types of things.
Just say in these letters, these properties are abandoned, and I'm not positive whether they're abandoned to the point that we now own them or not, but they could be, or they're darn close.
So there's a motion on the floor. Any other questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise?
In favor.
Councillor Bicker?
In favor.
Councillor Eichert?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen?
In favor.
Councillor Kester?
In favor.
And Councillor Lawerson?
In favor.
Motion is carried. Was there any other correspondence that anybody would like to pull out and discuss specifically? If not, a motion to accept as information.
Also move.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
In favor?
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
In favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Laverson.
In favor.
Motion is carried. We will move into, I'll move us into closed session. I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Baker.
In favor?
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
In favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Laverson.
In favor.
Motion is carried. Councillor Laverson, are you on the line? Okay, we'll just give it a moment. If you can just let me know. We'll just give a minute.
I doubt it. Let it be known. Yeah, they'll be known to have them quit answer. I've advertised as much as I can with those social media.
Teo Henderson, do you want to just maybe text?
I keep thinking I should go back on it, and then I remember what are you saying? You can't control yourself. Social media.
Yeah, some people should.
I'm way too witty.
Yeah.
Would you be able to check your emails to see that
Yes, I got it. Yes, I got it.
Kellen. Yeah.
Is that,
Arlene and Ernie's daughter.
you guys used to be friends, didn't you?
Still her, I think.
Are you? That was all unnecessary. And I will point that out sometime. Yeah. Yeah.
So we should all RSVP again.
Well, oh,
Cutting into Tom's.
perfect. Councillor Larson, can you hear all right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So council has moved out of closed session and there's a couple of motions arising. Council's wishes.
A couple. I'll move that council directs administration to proceed with adding Wheatland County as claiming tax forfeiture status with Land Titles Office to the property listed as Rural 2770164, Plan 632 AF, Block 5, Lot 7, Certificate of Title 951159579.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Baker.
Favor?
Councillor Eichert.
In favor.
Reeve-Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
In favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Laverson.
In favor.
Motion is carried.
I'll move that council authorizes administration upon completion of attaching Wheatland County's tax forfeiture claim to the title to proceed with negotiations for the sale of property roll number 2770164.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Councillor Laprise.
In favor.
Councillor Baker.
In favor?
In favor.
Reeve Link is in favor. Deputy Reeve Clausen.
In big favor.
Councillor Kester.
In favor.
Councillor Larson.
In favor.
Motion is big carried. There, I believe that brings us to the conclusion of our agenda and meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tonight at the open house.